Hello and welcome to Hopeful Consciousness. It's day 5 of my 2-week challenge to help you have a enlightened spiritual experience. For me next, the port of call really was to look at some of this stuff that I first discovered in one of the early books, Autobiography of a Yogi, which went on to talk about all the different miracle healings and things like that. And so to believe that the human potential's got the ability to perform some of these absolutely amazing things is quite a leap from someone really scientifically minded. So I had to understand some of the science first to at least open my mind to see that that could be possible, if you see what I mean. So I started to look at more of Joe Dispenza's work with his healings that are all really scientifically documented. You know, he's got numerous cases of miracle healings documented on camera and with his studies, as has Bruce Lipton. And so I wanted to focus on Bruce Lipton's work, particularly with genetics. Now he's quite well renowned for something called epigenetics, which you probably haven't heard in the mainstream media. It's something that's only really becoming recently accepted in the scientific community, because what you often find is science is almost a little bit like a religion in many ways, that there's a belief that sets in that something is a way because someone said something, years ago, it was proved right at the time, and that's it, it's done, that's the way it is. And that's a really bad, almost dogmatic belief. Science is always about constantly testing, because we're always finding new things out about how things are done. And just the nature of this world, really. So that's what Bruce did. He started to look at samples in a lab and how they were influenced by external environments to see how genes express themselves. So back when scientists discovered the sort of DNA blueprint within all of our cells, at first they sort of thought that, well, this is it, we found it, we've got the Holy Grail almost of this is now how you're going to be as a person. We can see from your DNA you're going to have blue eyes, grey hair, or whatever it might be, and that's it. You're a victim to your genes, really. So if a gene tells you that you're particularly likely to get a particular sickness, that overwhelmingly you will do. And what Bruce started to prove, that in the majority of cases, that's not, strictly speaking, true. Now, I'm not talking about some of the things like hair colours and things like that, or some of the really kind of, set stuff in your genetic code. Now, I'm not saying that that's not entirely possible, but I've just not looked into that side of things so much. And obviously, if you've got major genetic defects, you can get certain conditions that could be a challenging one to solve using these sort of techniques. But what he often talks about is how it's the power of your mind controls how your genes express themselves. So I think the best way is to give you a little example of, we think we are these we are one being and all that. You're not really. You're made up of about 30 trillion cells that are all trying to work together in harmony to run this human machine that we are. And it's an incredibly complex machine, and to get these groups of cells to work in harmony together, it takes almost like a authoritarian leader to send a message down to them as to how they should function, and how they should operate in a particular way. So you can very much send your cells a particular message to thrive, or to go into sort of safety protection mode at a very basic level, and potentially even more. So what Bruce really discovered is that your genes are more like a blueprint, and whether you construct the body or the cells according to that blueprint depends on how those genes are expressed by external stimuli in your environment. In the same way, if you had an architectural blueprint about how to build a skyscraper, it doesn't automatically mean the skyscraper is going to appear the same way it does on those plans. It depends about the construction workers. The site could have different materials. You know, the base of the foundations might not be, you know, solid stone. They might not find bedrock underneath, and it has to change the entire structure of how the skyscraper's formed and things like that. So all of these things are variable and can change. And back when scientists discovered DNA, there was a load of other stuff that they found alongside, you know, the core A, C, T and G sort of coding, and they just thought, you know, that's junk stuff. It's not needed. It doesn't do anything. But obviously, it's becoming more and more apparent that nothing's in there for nothing's there not for a reason. So as Bruce describes, a lot of that information is there as switches to switch bits on and off. So while you might have a characteristic in your genetic code that might have a certain gene switch on, that can be switched on and off by you, your environment, and different situations. So this is where he talks often about, you know, pharmaceutical drugs and things like that, that our cells have obviously got receptor sites for various different chemical concoctions, and the way a lot of the pharmaceutical drugs are working, they're trying to latch onto these receptor sites to find one that sort of accepts it. And he's very much saying that if your cell has a receptor site for a particular drug, that's because your body can already make that, otherwise it wouldn't be there. So a lot of these, you know, drugs and things you can find over the counter, you can manufacture those chemicals directly within your body using the power of your thought and your positive thinkings and your belief. And I'm not just talking about a blind, you know, positive outlook, although that certainly will help regulate things, because your cells can receive a message to, you know, go into that protection mode and shut down and just protect themselves and not perform their normal functions and activities, or they can be sent a signal to thrive. And you see that with cases such as, you know, you've probably heard the expression, you know, that person died from a broken heart, where one partner passes away and then the other partner suddenly gets sick inexplicably, and then shortly after passes away. They've directly sent that message into their body and into the cells that I don't want to be here anymore. I'd rather be with my partner wherever they've gone to. And you start to see some of these effects come in. Things like the placebo effect, which I'll go into more details as well, play quite a factor to that, because and it kind of concludes it and proves it scientifically that just through the power of thought alone, that about 30 to 50% of the time you can trigger the same healing effect as if you had never received the medication. And that doesn't just work for, you know, tablets and things. It's not just, oh, give me a sugar pill, my headache's gone away kind of thing, because I believed that I was taking a paracetamol, for example, or an aspirin. It's not just as small as that. It goes as far as, you know, major surgery. They've done experiments where, you know, doctors can literally put someone under anaesthetic, wheel them back out, wake them up in 8 hours, having done no surgery whatsoever. They'll actually often, you know, put little stitches on the surface and potentially even make a small incision in these experiments to convince the person that they've had surgery. And then, yes, 30 to 50% of the time, the patient's problem will disappear because they fundamentally believe that they've healed themselves. Now, I'm going to discuss tomorrow quite a bit about how that can possibly work and how it links into quantum physics, because it's quite a complex topic, really. Yeah, it's quite a complex one indeed. So ultimately, all of this stuff started to make me realise that, you know, you really can positively affect how the health of your body can be. You can, you know, visualise and use certain techniques to literally get rid of major sicknesses like cancer and other things like that. Now, please don't think I'm saying don't go and seek medical advice and other treatments. Please don't think I'm saying that. I'm just saying have an open mind and look into this, because once you realise it might be possible, then perhaps it's worth having a look at. And yeah, that probably leads me nicely on to tomorrow's topic, which also talks about the nature of reality. So hopefully I'll see you then for tomorrow for day 6. See you later. Bye.